Welcome to another episode, everyone. These culture vultures are now accusing young Jeezy of being a snitch, a rat, someone who likes cheese. I don't even know why they speaking on our culture, but this is what they do. This is what people watch and listen to. Let's get into it, man.
Okay, so another topic that is like super late breaking, and this is probably one of the most unique ways that I've ever seen somebody get exposed for snitching. But basically, there was an FBI agent who made a
one of the more unique ways. So you're already going with the story. You already believing that the story is true. You already believing that young Jeezy is a snitch.
TikTok talking about a case that he was involved with many years ago, and we could play the clip if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's pretty famous, and to be fair, he was never charged with a crime. But we had these two rappers in Atlanta in the early 2000s, and they were beefing with each other, trading diss tracks, the whole thing. Then rapper number one, the famous one, orders his goons to go beat up rapper number two and steal this gaudy gold and diamond necklace he wore in all of his videos, and that's where it got interesting. The goon squad shows up at rapper number two's place. He pulls.
So clearly he's talking about young Jeezy. Everyone knows the story. Young Jeezy supposedly, allegedly sent someone had a bounty on Gucci Mane. The rapper Gucci Mane had a bounty on him on his head, had a bounty on his chain, his gold necklace, sent his goons, one of his goons, or a few of his goons, to rob Gucci Mane to take his necklace. Gucci Mane ends up unaliving one of the robbers. One of the robbers was shot and dropped 100, 200 yards away from Gucci Mane's house. He was able to run, and then he dropped and died. So this is who he's talking about.
Pulls a gun and starts shooting. One of the attackers gets hit, makes it about 200 yards away from the house before he drops dead. Rapper number two is arrested for murder, but it's dismissed as self-defense. And the real criminal here is rapper number one, who ordered the violent act that got his man killed. I had the phone records and two witnesses prepared to testify for what would have been a rock-solid RICO murder case. But for reasons that were never explained to me, the U.S. Attorney's Office declined prosecution, and rapper number one went on to have a phenomenally successful career. Oh well, win some, lose some.
So basically the allegation is that...
Okay. Where does that say he's? I don't know. I'm not a rapper. I don't know young Jeezy. But where does this say that he's a snitch? Where is this proving that he's a rat? Because they declined to press charges doesn't mean he snitched. That does not mean that. He could have paid someone. They could have felt like they didn't have enough evidence. His boys, who he sent, these so-called goons, could have been not turning on him, saying, we ain't got nothing to say. So they have no case against him. I don't know. I don't know the situation. But what I do know is just because they didn't file a case doesn't mean that he's a snitch. So you can't infer just because they didn't file a case on him that he's a fucking rat, bro. Those two are not the same.
He's talking about Jeezy and Gucci.
Right, and Blue Da Vinci has kind of confirmed as well that there was this sort of like eerie switch up from Jeezy where when the BMF takedown.
Blue Da Vinci, the rat? Isn't he the snitch? He was the snitch. I read the book. I read the BMF book while I was in prison. I could have swore he was one of the main ones talking. So how is he talking about? I could be wrong. I don't think so, though. I know I read that. So I don't know how he's even speaking on young Jeezy rather than one rat calling somebody else a rat. This shit
went down that Jeezy at that point like ceased to have anything to do with BMF, never communicated with any of them ever after that. And so he's basically saying that they had, in his opinion, a rock solid case against Jeezy for the Gucci situation in which Pookie Load got killed, but that was never pursued by the FBI, and that his best guess is basically that it was in exchange for Jeezy supplying information about BMF.
I missed that last part.
Okay, yeah.
Where is that last part?
You kind of need to connect the dots with like prior videos. There's like a blue.
Yeah, fuck connecting the dots. Even Vlad. So this is Adam 22 from No Jumper and DJ Vlad from DJ Vlad. And I call them culture vultures because they always speaking on our culture and they're not a part of it. They just exploit it. They make money off of it. They talk about the bad parts of the culture all the time. You never hear anything positive about what's going on in the black community when you watch these programs. But even DJ Vlad is here saying, well, how do you make that connection? The same thing I'm trying to figure out. How do you say that because they didn't file charges on this man, that he's a snitch? Even an FBI agent never said that he was a snitch. I guess that's what he was implying, but he didn't actually say it. But he doesn't have proof of that either. Only thing he knows is that no charges were filed against young Jeezy. This does not equate to being a rat.
Da Vinci video where he goes into depth about how he feels.
And I don't know if he's a rat or not. I'm just saying, based on this alone, you can't say that he's a rat.
Strongly that Jeezy snitched. And so that guy kind of like puts the details of it together of what his incentive to do so might have been, since Jeezy was the only one associated with BMF that basically ended up getting to skate free.
Well, what about there was multiple guys that went into that house?
Yeah, and I interviewed one of them, Young Throwback, who claimed that Gucci Mane, or I interviewed the guy who claims that he's the one who pulled the trigger and killed Pookie Loc.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Pookie Loc was with someone else. He wasn't by himself.
Yeah, it was like two people that ran inside the crib.
So maybe the people who were cooperating were the two people that were part of the home invasion, and they were going to cooperate against Jeezy. You see what I'm saying? That's what I kind of implied from that.
The reason people think that this guy's implying that Jeezy actually did it, because in the comments, the two comments that he actually replied to was someone saying that the theory of the reason that Jeezy never got locked up was because of him providing evidence to the feds about the BMF shit. And that the guy who made this TikTok, he liked that theory, and then he's like, interesting theory. So people just speculating that that's why. It's not.
Yeah, it's not really adding up to me, bro. They apparently they had no evidence on Jeezy. That's what it's looking like. Again, I don't know the situation totally. I just know what I heard or whatever. But just going with my common sense here, it dictates to me, my common sense does, that they didn't have any evidence against young Jeezy or enough. How is him? There's been nothing that has come out that I have seen, and I could be wrong about what happened here, but from my recollection, I've seen nothing that implied that young Jeezy was snitching on this case. All kinds of people were snitching on BMF, including many BMF members, snitching on themselves and on each other, but I never heard about Jeezy. So he has a murder case, a rock solid murder case, murder for hire or whatever the fuck. And instead of y'all filing the charges on him, y'all gonna let him go skate free if he just gives you some information on BMF. He's already a rapper. He's already making his own money. You know, why does he have to give you information on BMF? He's not necessarily a part of everything that they got going on. He's not about to go to jail, or he would have went to jail along with BMF. They had nothing on him, bro. That's what it looks like to me. You know, but they putting a snitch jacket on him. Adam is, based on what this former FBI agent or whatever said sitting down there at the damn gym, which is the only thing he said was that they never filed charges against young Jeezy. Okay, shit.
It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like really just proven, but it's just the theory of like.
And it always did seem sort of bizarre that all this shit went down in front of our eyes, where Gucci basically ordered this situation that ended up in a murder, and that it was never pursued. I mean, even as like a real young rap fan, that always stood out to me. I was like, how the f are they not pursuing that?
I mean, when it comes to situations like this, to convict someone of a murder for hire, it's a little tricky, especially when people are not cooperating. You see what I'm saying? So you need to get a unanimous, you know, like the Hernandez Govan trial. They had a whole bunch of stuff set up. Yeah, they knew each other. They were talking, this, that, and the third. Oh, there was a reason. There's this or that. Jury came through with not guilty an hour later. It was like, there's no case here. So nobody wants to go into trial unless they have a rock solid case. Like, for example, like the whole David, you know,
you've been paying attention to that?
Murder. I've been paying attention to that. Yeah. And it appears like they don't really have a way to tie him into the murder. There's circumstantial things. Yes, he knew her. She was underage. She was mentioned. There was a live stream. But how do you go from that to a chopped up dead body in your car? You have to really prove it. especially when the person has money and has lawyers. And at the time, Jeezy had money. It just might not have been a strong enough case. So you just leave it as a cold case, hoping maybe at some point someone comes forward and brings some new information and so forth.
Exactly, bro. Just what I've been saying. Not a strong enough case. You done put a whole snitch jacket on this man. Again, he might have snitched. I don't know. But to say that he snitched just based on what this dude said, it's just Adam tainting another black individual, a black celebrity, someone with influence, and taint him with a snitch jacket, something that he cannot recover from. And where I'm from, you have to have evidence about this. Damn what you inferring in your common sense and your conjecture, and you may surmise, oh yeah, he must have been snitching because they never filed no charges. That's not evidence, that's not proof. When you're talking about someone's life, and you're talking about playing with someone's life, when you're putting a snitch jacket on them, because they can lose their life. So you can't do it without paperwork. But Adam has no problem with getting on YouTube, getting on the internet, and putting a whole snitch jacket on the individual, saying that he snitched on an organization based on a murder. No, if they got you for a murder and they got you dead to rights, they want you. Especially someone like Young Jeezy, they want you more than they want BMF, who's selling drugs. They got you for a murder. You know, they're not going to trade that information. Well, you tell us about this drug deal and we'll let this murder go. You know, that's like saying, you know, you tell us about a petty theft, someone who stole a Snicker bar in a store, and we'll let you go for the robbery that you committed. So you got a more serious charge, but we're gonna let you go to get this lesser charge. No, not that what BMF and them was doing was not serious. Obviously it was. They was in prison for many years, had RICOs, etc. And they were accused of murder as well. But Jeezy specifically was accused of hiring the individual to commit a robbery that led to his death, which implicates him, makes him culpable.
Because it could be a cold case for 20 years. They might still, you know, if Jeezy really was responsible for that, they could still charge him next week, like whatever. I hope they don't, but people like to be armchair lawyer all they want, but when it comes to real trials and real cases, you got to really have your ducks in a row.
I mean, we've seen a lot of people get exposed for snitching in a variety of different ways. Like 1090 Jake feels very, very strongly that Larry Hoover told, and a lot of the proof is based on a 1964 newspaper article. Now we've got a former FBI agent who basically is just creating TikTok content and is probably going to get like $2 to $3 from the Chinese government as a result of putting this theory out there. So he might actually, we're really like not sure how this is going to play out or how much people are going to turn on Jeezy or whatever. Obviously, he's kind of in the.
I don't think
the main.
Anyone's going to give a shit.
You don't think?
I don't think anyone's going to give a shit. Honestly,
I mean, we've seen so much evidence of.
Why would anyone turn on Jeezy? Based on this conjecture, again, the former FBI agent never even said that Jeezy's a snitch. He never said that. He insinuated that, indeed. But he did not say he has no proof. He's just saying they didn't file any charges. So rapper number one, you know, hey, got away with it. Wonder how he did that. Many ways. You piece of shit.
People not caring about snitching in general, that at this point that it's kind of easy to imagine people leaving it alone.
But he's also sort of at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
I think in a way. That's not a shot at Jeezy. I just think that he's not the guy that's going to drop the #1 album next year when he drops. I think that his fans will like it, and I think it'll chart somewhere. And there might be, you know, depending on who he gets on a song, like let's say he gets Jay-Z for a feature, it might get kind of big, but it won't be, you know, this is not the next J. Cole album. This is not the next Drake album. I think people watch Jeezy to listen to all the songs they liked 20 years ago.
Do you think that was a conscious decision on Jeezy's behalf to like kind of fall back from rap?
No, I sort of disagree. I fuck with Jeezy. Even now. Yeah. Trap or die. The fuck?
From rap? I mean, he's still touring all the time.
But I'm just saying, as like dropping new projects and actually trying to be like that guy. It doesn't seem like he hasn't.
Whoever does that well into their 40s, you know, it almost never happens.
He's probably pushing 50 at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's just is what it is. You accept the reality of your age and the audience.
I think that like if you're a committed enough young Jeezy fan that you're still going to go to his show in 2025, you're probably not going to really care about this snitching allegation. Maybe if like the most rock solid.
There is no snitching allegation except the one you're putting on him. Again, the FBI agent never even put a snitching allegation on him. He never said that he was a snitch, that he snitched on BMF. He never said that, bro. He said that they never filed a case against him, and essentially implying that that is suspicious, but he has no proof beyond that young Jeezy did anything that is unbecoming.
Proof ever came out it could make a dent. I feel like the respect from your peers and how many other people are willing to work with you is probably something that would be more tangible when it comes to somebody like Jeezy, because obviously like he's been successful music wise. The odds of him ever having like a big hit record are less than 1% ever going forward. Yeah. But ultimately Jeezy's.
What are they talking about? Have I missed something? Young Jeezy done fell off like that? It's 1% that he'll ever have another hit album. What are you talking about? Who y'all think y'all talking about, bro?
Kind of isolated as well. Like I can't really think of that many rappers that are really around him or that he would be working. I'm sure he could. The question is just like if they would not going forward because of this type of thing.
I mean, he's not like a little baby that's still in the mix and still with all the hottest. You know, he's not like a Kendrick at this point. I think Jeezy's Jeezy, and I don't think really anyone gives a shit at this point. I don't think anyone really gives a shit at all, including him.
For sure, there's never been a better time to be a snitch, because 20 years ago, if you had this kind of accusation, I feel like it might be enough to do you in. And at this point, it just sort of blends into this backdrop of so many other people having cooperated in a variety of ways.
I look at this as just another version of being canceled. And you could only be canceled if you just decide to just fall out of the public eye and stop putting out content, whether it's music, videos, art, whatever else. Gunna said, I'm just going to go and start working. I'm not going to talk about it. He hasn't done a single interview about it. He hasn't done a single interview since he got locked up. But he dropped big songs, big albums, does big shows, and look what happened.
Shout out to Everything 420. It's like the Amazon for everything that you need to get lifted. Whatever your vibe.
Okay, that's it, man. Fucking Adam, bro. This dude really starting to get on my fucking nerves, man. I'm trying not to come at him and attack him, individually or make it personal, but some of the stuff that he does is really rubbing me the wrong way, And DJ Vlad does and says things as well. He was more diplomatic in this exchange, but he has a propensity to taint black individuals as well in a certain light, a negative one. And, really we have to keep these people out of our community. We're the only race that allows outsiders to come in, exploit us, make money off of our backs, and then contribute nothing to our community. Just pure exploitation. And here it is, they talking about young Jeezy, Adam is anyway, about being a fucking rat, because the man said that they never filed charges against him and didn't elaborate, didn't go into detail as to why they didn't file charges. Just said that they never filed charges against him, even though supposedly they had a rock solid case. How rock solid was the case? What couldn't have been that rock solid if no one is cooperating? If the goons that Jeezy allegedly sent are not saying that he sent them, then they have no case against Jeezy. So to say that he's a snitch just based on the fact that they didn't file charges, I think is irresponsible, bro. That's it, man. Stay safe and stay free, people.